Hi Alvin, we meet again. Oh look, that's his undies there. I'd forgotten what they look like. What a character. God, I haven't seen this puppet in a long while. She's scary. Hi everyone, I'm Deb Cook, I'm the costume designer at Laika. Today I'm in the archives department and I'm going to share with you some of the costumes and costume detail from ParaNorman.
Let's do it together.
So my role is to work with the director and the character designer and production designer. We work out what our characters are going to be wearing, like what tells their story, how they might dress themselves, so they believe in the believability of the character. So the costume ethos in ParaNorman was to bring these two worlds together, but keep them separate from each other in the storytelling. These guys here in contemporary costumes with a nod back to the 80s and 90s, and then these guys here definitely in the 1600s. We looked at movies like The Breakfast Club, for example, and Scooby-Doo. And there's a relationship between the characters in those movies that we really found warming and wanted to bring that to life in our characters as well.
That sound, you know what that is? That's not awesome things.
So here we are with, this is Norman all over this table. This is where we first see Norman. It's the opening scene. He's in the living room with his gran, he's watching a horror film, and he's wearing his zombie slippers here. We next see him in his hoodie, and he's very much kind of hunched in his hoodie. His body language is very different to when he's in his living room. So it's very important to us that he had something that he felt like he was hiding in to start with the hood. Some of the original drawings, he has a scarf, and just having something up around his shoulders and neck that was protective was very important to his character read, and we later dropped the scarf in favour of having the hood. Here we have Norman's binder. What's in the binder? This is the fabric. You can see it's got no shine, so there's no camera reflection, but there's a very, very small tooth. His hoodie has like arcs and curves in the sleeves and the sides to give it that kind of lived-in look. This is some of the wire that would go into the edge of Norman's hoodie, so it's a leverage point for animating the hood and animating the hoodie. These are like parts of Norman hoodie. You can see how curved the seams are here as well. The wire's all hand stitched in. Oh yes, so these are like foil edges that went behind the cuff of Norman's jeans, so there'd be a different shape for the right and left. So his design also was in flares, and some of the other costumes as well, where there's a flare at the bottom around his ankles and a flare around the cuffs. As Norman becomes more aware of his role in the movie and the story, and that he's the one person who can save everyone and save the town, he gradually sheds his hoodie and becomes a much stronger character, stronger as a person. His body language changes. The lead character does get the most attention at the outset of the movie, because where we land with them and their design and their art language tends to be the marker point for how we roll that out across our other characters.
It's not a bad idea.
Hi, Courtney.
I'm Courtney.
So this is Courtney's fabric. We found this from just shopping around and looking for something in the right scale, and we found a baby's onesie that was very soft and had a super small scale nap or pile to it, and that worked perfectly to look like velour. Whereas if we'd used our own scale velour in our world, it would have been huge and the pile would be too big, and it would look something like a blanket or a bath towel on her. It also had the perfect amount of stretch to contour to her body and the return quality that we needed for her costume so that it wouldn't go baggy. We knew what we were trying to say with her, and that she would feel comfortable in this. This would say something about her that she liked.
I want to do something that helps people less fortunate than me, thank you very much. You know, like the poor, or people who are dying or ugly or something.
And here, I want to show you this. This is Courtney's shoe kit. So we dye the leather, and then we'd fill the syringe with puffer paint and we put a couple of dyes in it to bring it into Courtney's world more. And that's how we made the pattern, by putting little dots on this and leaving it overnight, and then putting a hairdryer on it so that all the dots would raise into a texture. And you can see from the shoes here, they were very textural.
Oh, you've been sneaking around in my personal... Oh!
Bring in Neil. There he is. Hi, bud. So here's Neil, everyone's favourite, has the best lines, is the best friend. He aspires to be like his older brother, and he's wearing his brother's gym jacket. He's clearly not interested in the gym at all. He eats crisps in the movie and watches DVDs. This is a kind of varsity jacket style. And you can see the seams follow the ParaNorman language. You can see that through the seams in his back. We'll make a costume board that encapsulates the flavour of a character. So it'll have the fully realised colour design, and this has some costume drawings on it, and some early sketches of Neil just to show you the route to finding him as a character and finding his costume. I love his lunchbox. So the character designer also drew the cat to keep to the line language of the movie, and the eye position. See, the eyes are different from each other. Super sweet that he carries his lunchbox around with hummus inside.
Don't make me throw this hummus. It's spicy.
Oh,
Who's next? Mitch. Thank you. Suitably fixed expression for Mitch. It's very much Mitch. He looks really buff. His shorts are camo, but they were drawn by our character designer, so they're very unique. Oh, thank you. Let's see what's in here. Oh, there we go. These are some versions of it. You can see how the camo is very specifically ParaNorman. And then this is a looser version of it, a more explorative piece, a little more abstract. And I think where we landed with Mitch was this. It was an easier read and stronger definition between the colours and the patterns. So we used exactly that and transformed it into a print for his shorts. I love the drop of these as well, how they really, really hang down. Like he's got no butt to hold them up. His t-shirt is incredibly fitted, shows off his contours nicely. This is where he pairs with Courtney as well, that they have kind of shared philosophy. And she's very drawn to Mitch in the movie. They're both wearing sportswear and they kind of bond as characters.
baby, I'm so sorry. You'll be all right. We're gonna get through this together.
So the other side of ParaNorman is that some of the movie was set in the 1600s, and our ensemble here of gorgeous zombies lived in the 1600s but come back to haunt present-day Blythe Hollow. For researching these characters, I looked at the V&A in London in their reading room, and they have some books. I could find the names and what people brought with them on the Mayflower when they first came to Massachusetts. So there's listed items of clothing and what colours they might have been and the fabrics. The textures are very, very different from our contemporary characters in that they represent linens and wools and silks that these characters would have been wearing way back then. And the level of distress on them is just looking at archaeological digs and how these fabrics survived and what parts of them didn't survive and what they looked like when they were deteriorated and had been in soil for a long, long time. Some of these silhouettes, like the longer, spikier bottoms and chipped into areas, replicate the style language in the trees around the cemetery and Aggie's world when the movie shifts into that. These kind of fit within that world. They have great shoes. I love the shoes with these characters. They're very expressive of the era, completely different shape to working with sneakers and trainers and high tops.
She wants you to move over.
I heard that.
So here we have our judge, and this is our Puritan judge, and this is him when he's become a zombie. So you can see the difference between the two. And his cape here is very, very significantly a judge's cape. The detail and the style of the ruching and the position and the edging. And then you can see what happens to our poor old judge here. And the levels of deterioration all follow the line language of ParaNorman. So the back edges here, I'm going to turn these around so you can see here, beautiful. This really intense wrinkling and crushing together of this fabric. And as you can see, the colours here they're more alive and have a little bit more warmth and red in them. And here they're very neutral and grey. And this is a map here of the wiring in the cloak. And there is some foil on the bottom here to really give it some gravity and weight and create some animatability in the bottom of the cape. When he crawls about over the top of Mitch's van. What do we have here? The very early Aggies. Wow, that's incredible. Isn't that beautiful? Have to touch. So these are Aggie concept drawings. The first thing I noticed is all the different eyes. The eyes are incredible. They're all dramatic. This one is probably the closest to where we landed. I love these. They really show the kind of mood of Aggie. And then here, these are like explorations that happened way before we got to this version of Aggie, where we were exploring what her dress and her body and herself might look like at the point where she's very much broken down and destroyed. This is our Aggie here, and her lovely dress, her linen dress, and the collar itself is very much on era. And the shaping in her sleeves are these little gathered top bits and a seam here, and then the ruching in the sleeve and the ruching in her dress. This is very much on era.
That story you were telling, how does it end?
Wow, everything on this board. And these are beautiful drawings that really are expressive about what costume she might have been wearing and where we landed. You know, bringing the bodice to a certain height that made her, you know, gave her a younger look than a waisted one, for example, like this, which would have been worn by someone maybe a little older than Aggie. She's Norman's ancestor, so there's certain likenesses about them, their facial features, their body shapes, but you put her next to Norman in his hoodie and it tells the story of the movie.
I think you're just a little kid with a really special gift.
Thank you for sharing this today. It's always fun to talk about our costumes with you and tell you a little bit more about how they were evolved. And I really want to thank our archives department for taking such good care of our characters and keeping them well so that we can share them outside of the stories they're in and share their actual stories of how they were built with you guys.